Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, o say them yopo.
Now let's listen to the former general secretary of the NPP, Yapamono. Yeah, then we will build something. Samia Ukujina stage can say, John Mohammed we the president, we the vice president, we the assemblyman, we the DND. Now let's go back and listen to the former general secretary of the NPP. Yeah, we are near a comparison be. Namebusa NPP for say, is your flag bearer legitimate enough to lead the party? Now let's move forward.
Of governance.
We're talking about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who's now been elected as the flag bearer of the NPP.
Yes.
He's an economist.
Yes.
You hailed him as an economics whiz kid.
I hailed him.
I mean, your party.
Yes, yes.
And he's the chair of the economic management team.
Yes.
So if it's talking about someone who's going to be able to solve the economic problems, between him and Alan, who do you think has the competence to do that?
I think the evidence is available for Ghanaians to see. As we speak today, we're not talking about tomorrow, the record as we deal with. Now, let me go back to when Dr. Bawumia became the running mate for the New Patriotic Party's candidate, then Nana Akuffo Addo, and the reasons that were given. And we compare that, yes, we compare that to the evidence that we have on the record at the moment. I was General Secretary then, and when candidate Akuffo Addo proposed Dr. Bawumia as running mate, everybody was at a loss. First of all,
everybody was at a loss
in the party.
The proposal of Dr.
Yes,
Bawumia.
he was not a member of the party to start with.
Dr. Bawumia wasn't a member of the party at the time.
At all. In 2008, I was General Secretary at the time. Now, the party constitution says that before you can apply to become presidential candidate or presidential running mate, you must have been a card-bearing member in good standing for minimum 5 years. Dr. Bawumia was not even a member of the party, let alone be in good standing for 1 year or 2 years or 5 years.
So that provision was violated?
Well...
But yet you accepted?
So, if you can take the narration that follows. Now, when Nana Akuffo Addo made this proposal, of course, the reaction was no from the whole party leadership. Then the argument and the pleadings started from Nana's side that, look, I agree, this person is not a member of the party. But here is a case, the man has such expertise in economic management and the issues of economic policy and delivery. As for the economy, it's sensitive. Anytime anybody hears about someone's capacity to manage the economy, you want to give them an opportunity to do that. So then the party said, well, we were not ready for this. But Nana Akuffo Addo's pleading is that if you can waive that constitutional injunction that says that unless and until you are 5 years of good standing, you can't be running mate, and consider what this gentleman will bring to the ticket of president once the good people of Ghana make me president, I am sure Ghanaians will not regret it. As to whether that promise and that expectation has been upheld, I'm sure that you and I and everybody in this country is a witness. The extent to which people are disappointed with the outturn and the expectations that people had in terms of the economic performance of the government generally, and that particular expectation that Nana Akuffo Addo gave the party, that once you put Bawumia in charge of the economy, and he said, listen, I'm going to let this man take charge because his background is that as vice president, with his background, he's economic management team chairman. Today, some of the biggest complaints against the NPP government is high and numerous taxes, unstable currency of this economy, a debt burden that is unprecedented in our nation's history, a level of borrowing that Ghana has never seen before, issues of governance and corruption and whether it's real or apparent, there are a lot of talk. And this is the man that we in the party were convinced, we were made to believe that once he is put in charge of the economy, NPP is going to ride high. Today, even NPP people are complaining about businesses that are going under because of taxes, because of unstable exchange rate regimes, because of so many things, macro policies that have really made economic growth very, very difficult.
But if these are sentiments...
Offer, what must say? We are greedy. In fact, we are neighbor for money brother. Say, mope will be a party no any more than a year. Wo Sedi Abubakar, Sadek. Hope see that doye. Anyone we are no ma akan.
The Kwame so the party in 2016.
What be the MP?
MP
on the ticket of the party. What be the national director in charge of communication? In fact, who the minister crank ye? But because of our appointment, no, and I see you di brebi away nyanti, and I would di ya wo mua. Wuni munu no ma akan. Mujina so amoye de amoye.
Fancy di ya. NTDA. Wo mu akan omunye bi. Sebi Bawumia ne papa nye NDC ni. Anu abeka ho. Anu abedi vice president. Emprenai. Wono do onye greedy. So we di vice president opposition. If you no wasan betina vice president if you want na wasan president edi a wase NDC adanado edan yama wo oyire abusuafo e PNC fo omo yama on baby hihye ne papa onye ambassador enko Middle East bia sebi wa awie wo mu ni nuanom ya yempe baby mu omo hihye wo mo nye greedy so person mo to aso
I see
wo mo nye greedy wo mo free baby aba Freddy Bray office people buy ya obedi party chairman on do onye greedy na do no amu no a won wadidi di awie no a wo sen ko jemu ma ekuo no fa ehon adwen no a wo chinchim ade no a de akọ di opese ekọ no on do onye greedy mi ame no mani abiri se Ghana fo enya ekwanya no mu nsam no mu nya de omu pe no mi na me greedy.
Just say I'm opposition. What do you consider doing? Opposition.
And then the person the position. Position ya the day. Meji position am the day. Media ho am the abokro no. The na position no e position.
Kesben 92.
Me amanyoni. Me can NPP. Me pre parliament. Ma ko pre parliament. Edika me pre parliament 2012. Nana do muya. Ena kutia me. Ma pre general secretary impre no. Nimyo no nyina omkutia me ene metimi kopre MP enyai nyame adom sebi party ni dinam de koe na party na ho nyanam de koe ana
sikana na ewo
no so party na kukudro nam de koe ana lezo okogina ho am ye didi watema frɛ ato amane oni ade asan to so aba no sebi enye mrewo nyame adom edom boa me koe party ni dim me da party na makoduru ho a se eno so eya ho ho ema me gise ye mame appointment ansan ma hu se maduru appointment de nyame ache de president asedi
so normal
president ni kura no na bi so na mom no de wo no Ghana ede dum wo Ghana de chewo ene onkokromotie enti wo amanyo kromu a de obetimi ede wani atoso apagya akopa se de kokromotie be chewo wetimi akotena embrahye bedwam enti medie minim se Ghana fo adentamai wo modom me pa me do ma sipi na mom no womu saadumom de dum me no mi komanim no de awurade ka kye me se eye papa ena meye menye ehisem na menya de a sebe emfa hwe mbre me enya akatua ena owura Mr. Chematian frem se jisika se betua oka na somme dabi eye makukuduro ni me yem ene gidi a me kire me gidi a me wo Abraham gidi a menya se gise alanche matin baby ya dreidie watimi wakame amanyo semwedie emwaye
after that's my name win enkasa. Hello, good morning.
So this is the former general secretary of the NPP. He has been sacked recently. He was the general secretary when Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Akuffo Addo kofa ne bae. I've told you here on countless occasions. Say Nanado Danko Akuffo Addo Bawumia na odene be no running mate na Akuffo Kronwa Bawumia boma Akuffo enti ne Akuffo Addo kofa Bawumia eba NPP mu. Now, this is where it gets murkier. Papa Nekasa no say, Mahamudu Bawumia, time Akuffo Addo kofa ne ba no, he was not a member of the NPP. In fact, na omo party nimra or the party rules and regulations, actually say the person has to be a member, not just a member. That person should be a card-bearing member in good standing for 5 years. All these things, Bawumia did not even please one. That means party na eye NPP for the anankasa no. Oma no ye NPP mapano, they were sidelined. And Mahamudu Bawumia, who did not have a card. So if Bawumia was not a member of the NPP, and the NPP had to break the rule to bring Bawumia in to be Akuffo Addo's running mate, then it means Bawumia was illegally brought into the NPP. So say yeka say obi to say Alankode Chamantin, yeka obi to say Kennedy Japan, they deserve to lead the NPP than Bawumia, because they have been party members over 5 years in good standing. They are in and out born NPP for. But this is the situation where they said Akuffo Addo catch must say yem breaking law no na yem fa Bawumia mra for one reason. And the reason was that Bawumia, he is going to manage the economy. Nothing more, nothing less. So Bawumia was just coming to make sure that the dollar are now 4.2 no today no and go say be 1.3. Bawumia's job was one. We are going to break the law. You are an illegal component to our party. Your first step in joining the NPP was illegal. And what is illegal is illegal. It does not matter whether it takes 30 years or 40 years. Bawumia's entry into the NPP was illegal. Ever seen there? Say, you're found or you're illegal. It does not matter after being illegal, trying to pay your dues. Your first entrance into the party was illegal. And as we speak, the NPP today, they are fielding an illegal candidate. And today, the born NPP for Omakuma, any Omubibia NPP, they understand the philosophy and the party, the people who follow it, you know, Sanko for to say Alankode Chamantin, Kennedy Japan, at the end of the moment, they have sidelined them and they have brought an illegal person to be the running mate for Akuffo Addo just because of one thing. Bawumia adikudientia your man illegally enter NPP and say yes not or you're good with economics. Now the question here comes to credibility. Credibility. Some NPP ni mapa. Now me the NPP to me home. I talk to people. I'm a pure NPP. I need an NPP. The NPP to understand what NPP wants, to understand what NPP needs, so that say a mami to me metias yes NPP ni na wakwada so no otemase. If you say me free ne frumem ene yede me bedi enim. Now we need to understand. Bawumia's job was one. Come do one job. The economy. What you did for Kufuor. Remember, Mahamudu Bawumia Papa NDC ni. Mahamudu Bawumia Papa JJ Rawlings the first chairman of the Council of State. Mahamudu Bawumia Papa NDC for the mano the ambassadorial job and the two kwa bruchiri representing Ghana. Mahamudu Bawumia Papa obeye MP because of the NDC. So Mahamudu Bawumia NDC ni ba pampa mapa. Before Akuffo Addo Bawumia, Bawumia could have gone to take NPP card, but he did not like the NPP. He had always felt he belonged to the NDC. But because Akuffo Addo obe breaking rule, no, obe wana kora NPP mu illegal, no, Bawumia out of greed, no, he said yes. Now, inti say can see today in Ghana, when a young man like Samia Wukujina stage so. Now I can say John Dramani Mahama. We the assemblyman, we the way. I didn't change John Mahama the president. The question here is, where in Ghana's history did anybody see say John Mahama any position that Audi, you know, he illegally got that position? Now that is what we are going to do today. And now you understand why the NPP are scared to see John Mahama come back to power, because he has an unfinished business to finish. Now see, this is John Dramani Mahama. I am yet to see any lecturer, professor in Ghana come out to say, John Mahama is an illegal commodity. He basically paid his way to become this person, and why today an illegal candidate wants to lead Ghana. John Dramani Mahama, whatever he has achieved in life, basically he worked for it. Remember, John Mahama was MP for Bole Bamboy 1997 to 2009. Till date, nobody had come out to say John Mahama did not have a membership card of the NDC. John Mahama was an in and out and is still an in and out member of the NDC. That is how Emmanuel Tumbe Winnie parliamentary seat or Bole Bamboy. So John Mahama's first introduction into Ghana politics, he legitimately, legally acquired a party card to be an MP. The ticket of that party, he legally acquired a card. That means John Dramani Mahama has never illegally slotted or been slotted to occupy a position in his political career. That means he has earned every single position that he basically in his political life he has occupied. Now, Deputy Minister for Communication 1997 to 1998, J.J. Rawlings made him Deputy Speaker of Communication. The question here is, where did you ever hear that John Mahama paid money to become Deputy Communications Minister? No. It is through his selflessness. It is through his service. Remember, John Mahama, Deputy Communication Minister under J.J. Rawlings, now there were people who were equally better than Mahama or good or at the same pace as Mahama. Why did J.J. Rawlings choose a young Bole Bamboy MP, his first time, to become a Deputy Communications Minister? It is his job. And nobody in Ghana can sit anywhere else and say, John Mahama, he illegally was slotted to become a deputy. And now JJ Jiska, and now the NPP, NDC sat down and said, wait there, he does not qualify. But let us break the rule and make John Mahama a deputy communications minister. Nowhere in Ghana. I want you to understand something. John Mahama, whatever service or position our occupy or Ghana, it was acquired through hard work and legitimate means. When you compare John Mahama's political life to Bawumia, you will realize, Bawumia basically from day one, he was illegally slaughtered in the NPP, and today as we speak, he's an illegal candidate. Into your NPP now, because Bawumia your candidate, you are basically saying you have basically parading an illegality for us to believe a criminal, because Bawumia was criminally slaughtered in, a law was broken. Ye boomra any other Bawumia beshawo. Now when you come down, Minister for Communication 1998 to 2001, John Dramani Mahama, it was through his work. And Abanika said, I need to add another position. John Mahama had competitors, colleagues who were also good in communication. But J.J. Rawlings said, no, I will still want to make you what? I still want to make you the substantive minister. That is 2008 to 2001. Now, you need to understand, from MP to Deputy Communications Minister to Communications Minister from 1998 to 2001, John Dramani Mahama had gone through the mill. Nobody in Ghana politics can sit anywhere else and say, John Mahama got this cheap. It was through service. It was through his hard work. And internet, different regimes came and said, John Mahama is of use. He did not forfeit anything. Nobody broke any law. He wasn't forced onto anybody. John Mahama was given all this position because a Juma or Yeno, now politicians, old and young, were recognizing his job. Now you understand. Now, Oba Director of Communications, NDC 2002, John Dramani Mahama became the Director of Communications. Minority Parliamentary Spokesperson on Communication from 2001 to 2004. The MPs in Parliament, they all sat down on the NDC side and said, this guy, he has been a Deputy Communication Minister before under Rawlings. We know his work. We have followed his work. We, the MPs in Parliament on the NDC side, we saying this young man is good when it comes to communication. So in Parliament, they made him the communications boss. John Mahama did not tell anybody to force himself and make him the communications boss. I'm yet to hear anybody to say John Mahama went to call somebody to force somebody in parliament from the NDC group to make him by force the communication spokesperson for communication in parliament. He didn't. There were more senior, most MPs who could have done that job, but they bypassed all these people and said, this young man, we have seen his job from JJ Rawlings' time. This young man, we are not going to break any law. We are going to make him the spokesperson in parliament in terms of communication. He can do the job. Still, John Mahama, nobody has come out to say he was slaughtered. A law was breached. A law was broken to give John Mahama a way to become the parliamentary spokesperson for communication. Nobody. In fact, he was vetted by his own party and made him that. Now you come to John Dramani Mahama, Director of Communications for NDC, 2002. Why do you think the NDC will sit and say, because there were so many people in the NDC who were good at communication. There were so many people who were contesting Mahama for that position. No law was broken. It was through his hard work as an MP, through JJ Rawlings' time when he was appointed, through Parliament when they saw what he did and they said, you do this. So whatever John Mahama or position John Mahama has occupied in his political life, he has legitimately won that position. John Mahama has never pleaded or begged anybody to sign a document or to eliminate some rule for him to get a position. John Mahama, every position he has gotten in his political life, which he deserves, it was through hard work and service. It was through his hard work, humility, and service. That is why every time people look out for his qualities and say, take this. And I'm yet to hear anybody in the NDC say that John Dramani Mahama became Director of Communications because not yedim say or fault to be, but yakataso, they basically came out and say he deserves it. So every single step Mahama takes, you could see it comes out with, it goes with some legitimacy. Every single thing was legal. Nobody broke a bone or a law to make John Mahama a communications director of the NDC 2002. This is John Mahama's profile. And I'm yet to hear anybody in the NDC say, yeah, Mahama no untia dues. Mahama no nye NDC ni. Mahama nane papa na NDC inti ni yedin beshemu. Nobody to date. So he's a legitimate NDC person and he has the right to say he still wants to lead the NDC. Because you getting a lot of position does not mean you are not what? You are not visionary enough to lead. And to a young man like Samia Uku stand on stage and say, John Mahama di position way, Samia Uku, you were a party person. Why are you filling the position of NLA? Why don't you say you had enough positions in the NPP? You don't want to be NLA boss. But you, even at your age, you are still hoping Bawumia will be president and you will get a bigger position. Why don't you quit and say, I am done? Now, John Dramani Mahama, minority spokesperson for foreign affairs, 2005 in Parliament. Did Mahama tell anybody by force to force, make me? It was through his service. It was through his job. It was through his humility. It was through his humility to learn and to respect his colleagues. And they saw his quality. This is legitimate. And nobody can take this away from John Mahama because he did not break the law to be given these positions. He did not fight anybody. He did not, basically, he wasn't forced on a political party or a group of people in parliament. John Mahama legitimately won these positions. So he deserves it. Unless you have something that will show that John Mahama did not deserve any of the positions. When you go to 2008, ask yourself, excuse me, in 2008, there were so many senior bosses or politicians in the NDC. John Mahama is a young politician. What has he done in politics? What are his credentials? There were people who had been in politics for 20, 30, 40 years when John Mahama was in senior high school. Professor Evans Atamils bypassed all these people and said, I want this young man. Do you want to doubt the credibility of Professor Mills? I'm asking you a simple question. Do you want to doubt the credibility of Professor Mills? Don't you know, sir, Professor Mills, don't you think, sir, he knew their capability? But ask yourself, what will make Professor Mills say, Mepe Mahama as my running mate in 2008? Ask yourself. There should be a reason. Professor Atamils had a committee who sat down to analyze everybody on his table. And he has seen where this man started from. Everything about his positions were legitimate. He was never imposed on anybody. And no politician in Ghana, including Samuel Awuku, that young man, can discredit Professor Mills when it comes to his choice, his decisions politically. So for Professor Mills to say, upon all these experienced politicians I have in Ghana, I think this man is visionary enough to help me, my agenda, then it's a big deal. Then he should tell you that Professor Mills saw something in Mahama 99% of Ghanaians did not see. And Professor Mills, his records are there, his credibility is there. How intelligent he was when it came to making decisions. Are you going to doubt Professor Mills' decision? No. So he made John Mahama his running mate in 2008. John Mahama has earned that. And how did he end it? Legitimately, by working hard, by being humble. Is it my fault? Is it my fault if God is blessing me? Is it my fault that I am working hard and people are seeing my good work and watching my show? Is it my fault that I have over 5,000 people every day on YouTube watching me every night? It is through my hard work. It is through my consistency. It is through my commitment to my work. So it is not my fault when I have thousands of people watching me and you are not having. You need to ask yourself, why don't you get the numbers I get? I'm getting the numbers I'm getting because of consistency and because of my hard work, my truthfulness, and my credibility. So when somebody today sees me and say, I want to watch Kevin Taylor, he's looking at so many things before he tunes in and watch. He's looking at facts. He's looking at credibility. He's looking at consistency. He's looking at this guy creating something out of nothing. And that is what John Mahama created in his political life. So even if you're a politician and you don't like him, you will like him because you look at his credibility and how legitimately and legally he made his way to where he is. In the NPP before that stage, because John Mahama winning position, they wish they were John Mahama. Samuel Awuku Hassan Abusan say, John Mahama credentials, don't you wish you were him? You wish, but out of foolish political malice, because they think it is easy to throw it out there. We are talking about experience and consistency. Now, 2008, we go straight to 2009 to 2012. John Mahama was vice president to John Evans Atta Mills. 99% of politicians in Ghana, Atta Mills is better than them. So if Atta Mills say, John Mahama be my vice president from 2009 to 2012, it means a lot. Atta Mills is picking a young man. He knows if he's not there, he will continue every single mission they will think about. There were people in the NPP, NDC who were known than John Mahama. There were people in the NDC, so many people knew, who were with JJ Rawlings, who had proven themselves. And so Atta Mills can say, no, I want this young man. Ask yourself, why did Atta Mills still insist, I want this man? He could have changed John Mahama. He said, no. Ask yourself, are you going to doubt the credibility of Atta Mills? Are you going to doubt Atta Mills' credibility? No. Into any NPP person will be stage, like I said, John Mahama the way. They are envious of John Mahama's credibility because he legitimately got to where he is today. And nobody in the NPP can get that kind of consistency, commitment, respect to get to this point. And instead, remember time I say, nobody in Ghana can present a resume in politics that is better than John Mahama. Nobody. If anybody is able to do that, I'll quit my job. Nobody in Ghana. Now, from 2012, John Mahama became the substantive president to 2016. Now, ask yourself, John Dramani Mahama, after Atta Mills, may he so rest in peace, passed out and he took over power for 3 years, 8 months. This is what John Mahama was able to continue. If everything in this book was completed, Ghana wouldn't be here today. If everything in this book was completed, all the schools John Mahama started, all the infrastructure, the way he changed the economy to be better, leaving the dollar at 4.2, everything when talking about corruption, how he was able to jail his own, something that Atta Mills can do, John Mahama did it. Because that is the only thing that you will see and say, yes, we saw Atta Mills in John Mahama. Atta Mills can prosecute his own. John Mahama did it. Now, because of liars like the NPP, people like Samuel Awuku, they always wanted to look like John Mahama has been vice president. He has been this. He cannot be president again. John Mahama still has an unfinished business. Because these fools in the NPP told us that when you come, whatever John Mahama started, whatever infrastructure work, health, education, whatever, you continue till date. You have not completed even one regional hospital. You have not built the 350 senior high school John Mahama started. You have not been able to construct roads. You have messed up our economy. Our exchange rate has messed up. At this point, who should come and continue the job? Gwasiafo. So John Dramani Mahama, as we speak today, and if today we see him as the flag bearer of the NDC, he deserves it. That is why 99.9% of the NDC said, you go again, because we believe in what you have done. Atamel saw something in you that we still believe in it. And we know when you're giving the nod again, you will right the wrongs. You will move us from where we are to somewhere better. And it's almost the whole of the NDC. And it has never happened in the history of this party before. Say, we still want this guy. Then they are thinking about what Atamels were thinking. They are basically, NDC is thinking like Atamels. What Atamels saw in this gentleman and knew that this man will be great and he will do something better. So when you see the 99.9% NDC people who are also Ghanaians saying we still want this guy to come and finish his job, then that means that they know that the vision this guy has, he hasn't finished it. He needs to complete his vision.